So we got the new fan blade in. You can see it's got a dish right here. So that's the difference. It pushes the fan blade out, and that allows it to clear these rails. Yeah, so you got about a good 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch there gap, so we should be fine. This actually rotates this way, so the fan blades will actually flex away from the from the structure. So if anything, it'll be air on the safe side. So we just got to get these bolts tightened up, and we can slide this whole assembly back in the bus. It took me a while to get this fan blade. They're having trouble locating one and getting it shipped here. So this is a ACS fan model number 217205 32. So these are 32-inch fan blades. So yeah, there's the part number right there. Alright, so we got pretty good progress today. We got the new fan blade is in. That's the new fan motor. We got the reservoir mounted back there behind this wire. And then we got the lines and stuff all pretty much installed on there. The only one I gotta finish, I gotta get some fittings and finish this, is a little drain, case drain, and it's gotta tie into the reservoir. But all the other lines are in place. There's the cooler line. So this is the bypass module on that side, comes around, and then if it's bypassing, it comes around in this loop here and then goes back to the tank through the cooler. The cooler's over here on the side in front of the radiator. So we got pretty much all that taken care of. Let's see, we got one little fitting down there open, that's so I can tie that case drain in. But everything else is pretty much ready to go. Alright, so we're going to make an extended dipstick tube for our oil reservoir. This is the top of the reservoir. It had already had some threads inside of there, so I just chased it and ran a tap down through there. This is 3/4 NPT, and then I got a fitting we're going to put in there. Snug that down, and then this copper tube is going to be I'm going to put a flare on there, and then that flare nut's going to go down on there. So that'll make an extended dipstick tube to bring this out to the back of the bus. So we'll run it back in here, like so, down into the tank, and then I got to get a universal dipstick. We'll cut this to length. So then we'll have the dipstick will come all the way to the back. Alright, so we got the flare tool set up on the tubing here. So we're going to flare this. It's a 5/8 tube. This thing should click out. It's got like a, yeah, there it goes. It's got like a release in it. It's flared. Got a nice flare on there. This guy should run down. Yep, looks good. Let's see how it focus. Flare looks good. All right, so we got this in flared. Good. So it'll fit down on our fitting to go in the top of the tank. So now we have a nice dipstick tube coming up. Here. I have to probably go around this thing here. Should sit back on top of our tank back there. We'll have to adjust this a little bit, but get the height right, get it turned where it is. All right, so we got our copper tube made up, comes out from the back there from the tank. I also extended up you can see the vent. That's a common problem. The vent kind of is really too low, I think. So we just put a couple barb fittings in there and extended the vent up higher so that way it doesn't blow oil out. So, and I tied it to the tube so I can pull this whole assembly off and not have to mess with it. So we got that pretty well ready. I'm gonna put probably another flare fitting on this and a fitting that the that the dipstick will go down in. I got to try to find a universal dipstick long enough to fit this. I thought I had one and it's no longer in stock, so but we'll see what we can come up with for that. All right, we got our dipstick made up for the oil reservoir, and I got our marks on there. It's upside down there, but you can sort of see it. Focus in there, it's too bright in the background. But the full mark was pretty much right at the bottom of this little tube, so I measured the old dipstick and then marked this one and cut it to length. So this is all ready to go in. All right, so we got our new exhaust lines on. You can see these guys, stainless, come down into there. We've got a new one over here. And I put a flex fitting in this side. The original did not have a flex fitting in here. I don't know why, but I wanted it to be kind of flexible. So we got that installed. We also have the fan controller. This is the fan control module that comes off at the bottom of the fan down there. So that's the pilot valve and the fan. And then we also got that blue line right there coming off of the fan. It's a case drain that goes down and ties into the bottom of the reservoir. So that's all plumbed in. So all we got to do is finish the exhaust system, putting it together, and we got the air filter housing off still, so we got to hang that back up here, and then put the exhaust pipe back in, and then there's a heat shield that goes back in here. Once we get all that together, we should be ready to test fire it. I did turn it over today to try to prime the hydraulic system to get some oil moving. So I filled the oil reservoir back there, and like I said, I turned it over to try to prime the oil. So it went down a couple inches and I topped it back up again. So that's pretty much ready. Well, that's about it for this weekend. We'll have hopefully get the rest of this wrapped up by next weekend, be ready for our trip to Pine Mountain for the Wander Lodge rally. Alright, so we're getting things assembled here. We got the air filter housing in with all the hump hoses, they call these, that connect to the turbo. So that's all in, and then that goes up into the air intake up to the top. So that's all in. Right now we're working on getting the exhaust installed here. So I'm going to put some brackets on here so I can mount the muffler to it a little better this time. My muffler was moving around a little bit, so I'm going to bolt those. This is stainless steel unistrut. I'm an electrician, so we have unistrut laying around everywhere. So these are some little scrap pieces I picked up. So we're going to bolt those on there so we can mount the muffler on there. This guy here. So we got the exhaust back in. I made some new straps. So these are actually the old muffler straps that were up underneath the bus. And I just took some square washers and drilled a hole through the strapping material. And then it's I don't know if you can see down in there. It's bolted down in there. And it comes out pretty good. So it's bolted to that unistrut with some spring nuts. Just clean off this crap off of the exhaust, and then I got a heat shield. That's what this piece of strut. There's a heat shield that'll go on there, keep the heat away from the batteries. So I'm going to get that on there, and then we should be ready for a test fire. Alright, so we're priming the fuel system right now, and I've got a diesel fuel can here with some diesel in it, and I don't know if you can see right there the fuel coming out of there. So we're pumping fuel out of this can with a little 12-volt diesel pump. We're pumping it into the primary fuel filter. So that is after the main fuel pump. So the main fuel pump on the engine comes off there and then comes into this and then comes back out, goes to the heads. And then I've got it hooked to the return fuel line, which is right there. So yeah, the return fuel line comes on this side of the engine over here. It's this copper line that returns back to the tank. So I just disconnected it and I slipped a rubber hose over it, and we're running it back into this 5-gallon bucket and just circulating the diesel fuel. And I'm just making sure. I've been getting a nice good steady stream. I've had it on here for a little while, so I'm thinking we're pretty good there. So we'll get everything hooked back up and we should be ready to go. I have minimal air bubbles in the system. Alright, so we're going to give this a shot, starting. It's the first time with the new injectors. So here we go. Having an issue with my key, I think. Exhaust leak. Is it leaking on that side? The sand's probably blowing it away. lid cover. Alright, thanks for watching. If you want to be notified of future videos, please subscribe. And that's it. Until next time.